Welcome back to the channel, and today I wanted to continue what we did last time and rank the hardest power conference schools to rebuild in College 25. In one of our last videos, we cover the hardest rebuilds in the game, so go check that out if you want to do that after this video. But we're looking at some bigger brands that you can rebuild for your dynasty, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Before we get into this list, I wanted to detail exactly how we calculated these 10 hardest programs to turn around. If you already saw this in the last video, go ahead and skip it into the next part. But if you haven't, let's go ahead and cover that now. This first criteria we looked at was pipeline ranking for each university. Lucky there is a great spreadsheet on Reddit, so I did not have to manually do this myself. So that was a huge time saver. Shout out to the user Always Be Cruton for handling that on Reddit. Go over there and check him out if you want to do that for him. Next, we took a look at relative strength in conference. This was important since you will be playing these teams every single year, multiple times a year, as long as you don't realign your conferences. So the harder the conference, the harder the schedule, and the harder it is to win. After this, we took a look at all the university grades, since these are direct tie-ins to how easily it is you can recruit top-tier players. Some of these values will fluctuate over the course of your dynasty, but certain ones like academics and campus lifestyle will not, and then is locked in for your full dynasty run. We did exclude things that will change on a week-to-week basis, since this is more of an indication of your performance and can typically be higher than it would be for a CPU. One more thing on the school grades, a lower rating means a worse grade. I had my formula backwards, so the rankings are flipped, so keep that in mind when we go through this list. So after all of that, we get our list of the hardest rebuilds, but first we had to stop and mention a few programs that fell just outside of our top 10. Coming in just outside of our top 10 are the Rutgers Knights, Kansas State Wildcats, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Northwestern Wildcats, and the Iowa State Cyclones. Some of these that stand out are the Cyclones, who have the second lowest pipeline strength out of the power conference schools, only trailing their in-state rival Iowa. Outside of this, Northwestern just barely misses the top 10 of every category, but still manages to stay outside the top 10 hardest rebuilds. So that really shows how severe some of these schools in the top 10 are rated in these three categories. So coming into our first spot at number 10, we have the BYU Cougars. The Cougars have a great overall variance, coming in ranked 22nd, but really fall off in terms of pipeline strength, being ranked 2nd and 17th in school grades. As we will see with a lot of other schools, overall variance will carry most of them into the top 10, but BYU is definitely the odd man out here. On the flip side, you do get a majestic backdrop to rebuild in if that piques your interest. Coming into the ninth spot, we have the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia has long been one of the bottom feeders, not only in the ACC, but also in all of college football. The one-time national basketball champs are ranked in 7th in overall variance, 10th in pipeline strength, and 13th in school grades on the field. While there is not much to call home about, the colorway is pretty decent, and I would say is probably one of the best on this list. Next up, we have the most surprising team of 2024 season, the Indiana Hoosiers. Although this rebuild has been done in real life this season, the Hoosiers are still one of the worst spots and to muster a good result in the college football game. Coming in at 14th, 12th, and 22nd, we see them almost crack the top 10 in all categories. With the real life results having the Hoosiers in college football playoffs, can you get it done in year 1, 2? At the 7th spot, we have my alma mater, the Kentucky Wildcats. This one stings a little bit, but now that we are in full-on basketball mode, we can really assess how poorly our football season went this year, and the game does a good job of assessing this team like we saw them on field. The Wildcats are ranked 5th, 18th, and 16th in our three categories, and the ratings disparity really did them in. With most low-tier SEC teams, the overall is the real kicker here. Heading from Mid-America to the East Coast, at our 6th spot, we have the Maryland Terrapins. Maryland has had some strong seasons for a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team over the last decade, but they don't gain any favor in College Football 25. Ranking 4th, 22nd, and 19th, the Terrapins have a decent pipeline, coming in with the best ranking in the top 10 list, but the issue lies with the strength of the Big Ten. Maryland does have some unique uniforms that can at least give you some good visuals as you try to play through the rebuild. The first team to crack our top 5 is an obvious contender for this list, the Vanderbilt Commodores. Typically playing little brother to their larger in-state rival Tennessee, the Commodores actually had a great year by their typical standards, upsetting a very well-rounded Bama team earlier this season. After that, they did not receive much of love from the development team, as they were ranked 2nd, 21st, and 13th respectively, with the Commodores and Diego Pavia proving it is possible to beat a major program at Vandy. Can you also anchor down? The 4th spot is held by yet another hardwood champion in the Duke Blue Devils. Coming into this rebuild, you will get some benefit of having a good dual threat quarterback in Malik Murphy to build around, although do try to keep him happy, as after a great 9-3 season this year, he did transfer this past week out of Durham. The Blue Devils rank 7th, 6th, 22nd in the rankings and are safely in the number 4 spot. With all the success of Coach K on the basketball court, can you bring light to the turf and win big at Duke? Before we make it into the top 3, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button below if you're enjoying the video. It is completely free to you and helps out the channel so much. The goal is to hit 5,000 subs by this time next year, so help us get there. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and let's go ahead and get back to this list. Hitting our bronze medal spot, we will hit the road and head only a little bit ways down the road to North Carolina and see the Wake Forest Demon Deacons at number 3. With one of the cooler intros for each game, the Deacons didn't get much love after that from the development team. They ranked 7th, 8th, and 26th in our rankings, and the 26th rating is actually the top spot for school grades, or the worst spot depending on how you look at it. With multiple C's and a D+, it was inevitable that Wake Forest would be near or at the bottom of this ratings list. Narrowly missing the first spot, we have the Houston Cougars, another former hardwood-focused university. They recently moved to the Big 12, which shows the school is focusing more on football than they have in the past. Located in a recruiting hotbed, it has some potential to improve, but you may need to dive into the CEO branch to upgrade those weak pipelines. Ranking 6th, 5th, and 25th, they are the first school to be top 5 for all 3 of these categories. Like some say, chaos is the ladder to the top, but can you maneuver the hectic Big 12 to an eventual title berth? Making the top spot, the gold medal winner is the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Unlike the other team in the state located in Oxford, the Bulldogs have not had any recent success in any areas the Rebs have. Although huge legacies have come through here, such as the Pirate Mike Leach, they also have a decent former quarterback in Dax Prescott. While the Bulldogs are ranked 20th and 17th, the real kicker here is the first overall ranking of any program in the FBS in terms of overall variance. They are 5 overall points lower than the average in the SEC, which makes all 8 of those games incredibly difficult. Having one SEC title in the 1940s and one other championship berth, can you rebuild this team to its limited former glory? But with that, that is the top 10 hardest rebuilds for the P5 conferences currently as of December 12th. Let us know in the comments below what you think is the hardest, or if you agree with the list above. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit that like button down below and that subscribe button before you leave if you want more college football content as we near in on the release of the College Football 26 next summer. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will catch you all in the next one.